Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening or good night. This is Jen at Jen's Arty Inclinations, a place to create, share and play. Hi, who else ends up with all these little paper strips from the edges of paper when we're tearing them down? I know I end up with loads and loads and loads, and these make fabulous paper labels. So this week I decided I'd make myself up a batch. There's no need for any special supplies to do this. All I used was ink, paper and glue. Seriously easy and seriously can be done with any supplies that you have. Just let your imagination run wild. But of course these strips are just the natural shape for labels to put into your journals. Here I'm just stamping a bit of a background on the first lot of paper strips that I had, and then I actually used just a couple of different coloured inks just to add a little bit of contrast. Gives it a bit of a layered effect, which I quite like. I didn't mind that I blobbed it up a bit there. That just, adds to the uniqueness. What I'm doing there, stamping it off first, I learnt that from Kylie's Card Craft, who I love her channel, where you actually stamp it off and then you get a little bit more of a faded effect, which is really cute. Now, most of these, I did end up inking around them, so I just inked around a whole load of strips in one go, touched up the edges, that sort of thing. The check piece there, that's just the edge of a scrapbook piece of paper, so I quite like that as a little background. And the teeny piece is perfectly big enough for a label for the front of like a journal card or something like that. And that was actually a book page that I tore the edge off. So again, that teeny piece, just nothing goes to waste. It's just wonderful. Anywho, I'm gluing it all down, and you'll notice that those two larger pieces make just a nice little border for that teeny piece that someone can write a label on. I mean, it wouldn't have to be on a journal card, it can be on a page decoration. That's quite nice. It can also be on the front of your journals, on the covers. Sometimes that's nice, just doing a cover that someone could use as a notebook and they could write themselves on the front what it's actually for or what the book is, meant to be doing. Here are the same strips from the same kind of paper. I believe this bit was coffee dyed paper that I had. So I coloured up one of the pieces just with some ink and a bit of a dauber. You can see I broke my dauber there, so I'm just using the bit of felt. But again, that just shows you can use anything, right? You can make something from nothing so easily. And you don't need the proper tools. You can do this with whatever you've got on hand. So that coloured up piece, again, just adds a bit of contrast against the stamped piece that I had. And there's another label that has just a slightly different look. So I've pasted all that down, and I'll show you the whole heap at the end. I've actually got another couple of styles that I'm doing, so we'll have a look at them as well. Sitting down and just having a lovely big session of just using up scraps, gosh, it's satisfying. I can't tell you. Have a go yourself. Everything kind of looks good. It doesn't matter what you do. And you're sitting down, you're playing with the paper, and these are all useful. They're all part of the creations. And I guess this is what we all call mass makes, where you make up a whole heap of little resources that you can just pull out anytime you've got a project that you want to use. Grab your little bag of labels that you've made up before, and then you don't have to create every single element every single time. Making the same thing over and over, you find that you play with that. You create different things. It kind of evolves and it expands. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying. Maybe you know what I'm saying. All right, here was the ruled page that I had as the background that I was stamping off that stamp to get the slightly faded effect. Now, that piece of scrap paper is getting used. I guess what I mean more is that you can use everything. So it's amazing. Just, like I say, making something from nothing. And I liked that off centre, that, it was a bit of a different shape behind that particular one. Now, that's something else, though. you can use scissors if you want to get a more neat and square effect. So then you can get really lovely clean labels. I just wanted a whole heap of rustic looking labels with, a few different bits and bobs. Just a variety of things that I could choose from to pull out of. Here I used a few strips to create a little mini collage behind this actual label. So I did a few like that, and I really like how they turned out. So this is a slightly different version. As you can see, not a lot different, but just while I was doing them all together in one big go, I just kept coming up with some different ideas. So that's the fun of it. Map. Who doesn't love using maps in their work? Well, okay, maybe some of you don't, but I love maps, and I've got this lovely big atlas that's actually got really, really beautiful matte pages. There's no gloss in them at all, so they've been absolutely fabulous. And that map with then the contrast of the lined paper and then the edge of the book page on top, it just makes a perfect little label. And I thought, well, I'll try something different. Instead of doing a border around them, I'll do a little strip. You know how sometimes we do those on the bottom of little cards or envelope pockets. So just another cute idea. Another technique. So this is the second kind that I was talking about. Sometimes all you need to do is just stuff a whole heap of little blank strips like I've done here on top of another big sheet. So then it's easy to store. You could hole punch that, put it into something. You could put it in little envelopes, and then you can just cut off the pieces as you need them. And then this one is the third one that I kind of worked out. I realised I don't need to do all these little individual ones. I can actually use these long strips and actually make them all long strips that I can cut down, I can tear down, I can do, whatever I like. And then again, a bit easier to store so that you can just have a whole heap of those sitting up. So see what I mean? You can just cut them into smaller pieces, and then you can have them, cut them down to whatever length for each of your projects. So just like that, I might have a piece that I need a shorter piece, and that might be perfect for that, or I might have something that I want a longer piece, and then that might be perfect for that. So I made a whole heap of them because I realised that, again, they are very easy. I can actually just grab a heap of those, put them in a little jar in front of me and grab them as I need them. So really neat, really easy to go through and look at. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully that's given you some ideas that you can try out. And so next time you're throwing out those strips of paper at the end of a session because you've got so many, maybe just make up some labels for yourself. Have a little play, have a little sit, see what you come up with. I would love to see what you come up with, so please tag me if you share them, or come across to the Playing with Paper and Glue Facebook group that I hang out and administrate with the gorgeous Lynn at the YouTube channel, Playing with Paper and Glue. Come along and share them in our group there. I'm sure others would love to see it as well. Yours might be just simple, rustic little labels like the ones I've created here, or yours might be beautiful and neat and pristine, or they might be completely different, more complicated, more simple. You might have a better technique to do these up. I really find that whenever they're created with different hands, even the same idea, the same design will look different. So they're always unique. This little one, just again, something simple. I had that tiny little scrap of paper. It was such a nice colour that I wanted to use it. And so I thought, that's something else you can do on labels. You put little things on the left of the labels. Here are all the labels that I came up with in this single session. So all of that was just from the scraps that I'd had this week hanging around my desk. And look at how they turned out so beautifully. And you'll notice I've also got on the top left there some little number labels. I'll do a little video to show you how I did those too. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. It really helps my channel when you like and comment on each of my videos. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy!